Mark Hamill.
Do you think there are a lot of kids that are really intense, you know, these science fiction fanatics,
yes,
and the kids that really were aware of you from Star Wars? Do they come see your play, any of them? Do you think there's a crossover audience in that
Well,
way?
I don't really know, because I can't really, I don't have a really, a way of knowing that. I know that a lot of younger people have come and are at the stage door, and I think they're much more accepting of the fact that I am an actor who has a career and a life outside of that than most people would give them credit for. You know, so I mean, if there's a hesitancy in Hollywood, so to speak, to hire me because I represent that.
Has there been?
I don't know.
Have you lost any roles because of it, do you think?
Oh, well, a couple of times they told me. Milos Forman said, he was very funny, he said, no, you must not to be playing the Mozart because the people not believing that the Luke Spacewalker is the Mozart.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you, Joe. It's difficult for any actor to fill the shoes of Sam Levine or Groucho Marx, but according to critics, Mark Hamill has done it. He is in a role that was once played both by Levine and Marx. It's the off-Broadway farce Room Service, and Mark Hamill joins us this morning. And I was congratulating you on very good reviews from myself, notably, though no one particularly cares what Jane Pauley
I was very happy that you came.
But you were telling me that there is no pressure like the pressure that precedes opening night as an anticlimax.
Well, I felt that an off-Broadway situation would be less pressure after Harrigan and Hart, that you're doing it mostly for a subscription audience and mostly for fun, and I found that wasn't the case, that you have this intense scrutiny that you do in any main stage production.
But explain why the pressure last night and
well, years ago, there was an opening night where all the critics came and they'd go and they'd write their reviews and they'd be in the paper the next morning. Now, usually 10 days preceding your opening, the critics are invited to come whenever they would like. So a lot of the critics prepare their reviews maybe a week in advance and then print them the day after opening night. So what you have is is 10 performances during which all the critics come. And it's a difficult thing because once the critics have all come and that enormous pressure is gone, then you get back to what you were really there for in the first place, to do the play for the people.
Is it a different, is the audience that comes after previews, after opening night, they likely to see a better play than the critics saw in previews?
I think they're liable to see a much more relaxed performance where you can take a deep breath and that foot has been taken off your chest. I think it's a much different show, sure.
Yeah.
And I also find it very interesting in that the public is very much influenced by the reviews. In other words, once we got some very good reviews, there were much bigger laughs. Once you realize that, well, it's okay to think it's funny.
Oh, this is
and conversely, you know, the day after we received not so good reviews for Harrigan and Hart, from key people now.
Yeah.
I mean, laughs that we've been getting for 9 months because we tried it out in Connecticut. Gone. It was like we were playing.
We are such fools. I'm wondering how many
myself included.
How many of your audiences in the theater ever even saw the Star Wars?
I think very few. I put it in my bio, and I'm happy to have been a part of that. But it's like someone asking you continually to describe your high school years forever.
Well, wait a minute.
Through college, through your marriage, and
you
6 children.
do put it in your bio, but it is like kind of almost an afterthought. It is the least important item in your bio. And I remember seeing in the playbill for a previous role you had, it was a really charming way you put it, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I won't put it as sweetly, I think, as you did, but something about how Luke Skywalker was like an old dear friend whom you hadn't seen in years, or something like that.
Truly, I find that there are different aspects of my life that seem, you have a different perception of time. It seems like just yesterday that my sons were born, and yet it seems like a lifetime ago that I was in that galaxy far, far away.
In fact, it was 3 years ago that Griffin was born because today is his birthday.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Happy birthday.
So here you are in a farce, and it's a very physical comedy that Alan Arkin directed with a lot of old Second City kind of cronies. Now, how did you get in sync with these people?
Well, it's one of the greatest challenges. You really have to stay on your toes, and I really should, first of all, thank people like Andy Block and Lonnie Price, my partners in crime. But of the more mature actors, Gene Trubnick and Kurt Knudsen, Pierre Epstein, McIntyre Dixon. These are people who, like you say, were in Second City and improvised for a living, and you really have to stay on top of things. And they're so generous, so giving. I mean, people gave me. He said, you know, if you stand over here and put it down there, you'll get a laugh. And I would say, well, why? He said, try it. And I'd get one. I started paying people a nickel every time. You know, they tipped me off. But I don't think I've ever worked with a more giving, generous cast. It's just from top to bottom.
Well, now, do you know where the laughs are yourself?
That's the wonderful thing, because to go out and it's really like an elixir to hear the laughter coming over the proscenium. And I'm learning so much, and learning where the important laughs are. I mean, we've taken laughs out that were extraneous or took away from the thrust of the narrative. And it's such a thrill to get. I mean, I'm looking forward, for instance, to getting to the theater tonight and doing it again.
Well, there's probably a couple hundred people with tickets who are looking forward to it, too.
Hope so.
Mark Hamill, good continued success to you.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back after message.